Hey guys, Nerd here once again. Today I want to talk about both hero talent trees released for Elemental Shaman, the Farseer, and the Stormbringer tree. A little disclaimer though again, I will not be going over each node separately, but I will just express my opinion to them. In general, I feel like the flavor, lore-wise and thematically, are all on point. Even though in my opinion there may be a missed opportunity in a Dark Shaman spec using corrupted elements, but I can see it being weird to implement. But anyway, first of all, Farseer. The idea of Farseer spawning spirits to aid us in combat is actually very good, but its implementation in the tree isn't really thought through well, with a lot of filler nodes and some really horrible bad nodes, which offer really low power compared to other specs hero talents. The choice node for Heed My Call routine communication is okay, and adds a bit of RNG versus consistency choice, which is fine, and maybe even considered good. However, Maelstrom Supremacy is generic and boring, but mostly okay too. Just a generic damage increase, which is fine. Final Calling. Where is it? There we go. Final Calling is an interesting one, but when it's implemented correctly, such as not pulling random mobs or elemental blasting dead bodies on the floor, is also a really cool node. Not every talent has to be 5-dimensional, right? Latent Wisdom is also a filler node, which I think they just should bake into the base spirits. So base ancestors just should deal 20% more damage. And Blizzard should just think of another clever node, even though I think Ancient Fellowship sounds interesting. I'm afraid it could make RNG too much of a factor in Farseer and its fire build combined with deeply rooted elements, which is also quite heavily tied into RNG and varies performance drastically. But now the real bad. Primordial capacity is pretty much useless, and just another filler node because Blizzard somehow couldn't think of something better. At least it feels like this way. I don't know. Offering from Beyond is also not very good power-wise, with our elemental being so weak compared to other more meaningful offensive cooldowns. Just doesn't really matter if your cooldown is up 30 seconds earlier or not. Feels weird. And of course, the winner of bad capstones once again. The worst capstone of a hero and talent tree I've seen so far is Ancestral Swiftness. Actually, the idea of it, spawning a spirit without the need of RNG, is pretty nice, but sadly it's quite overshadowed by its bad design, and even worse overall power gain, as well as literally forcing us into a capstone in our relatively diverse spec tree, Nature's Swiftness. 10% damage on a spell every 45 seconds and spawning an ancestor for 6 or 8 seconds, depending on if you take Heed My Call or routine communication, is it's just not gonna cut it in my opinion. The defensive and utility nodes are also really questionable. Spirit Walker's momentum is mostly just a 25% increase of Spirit Walker's Grace's duration, which is fine I guess, but not really a banger node. There could be better nodes, to be honest. Natural Harmony is just straight up a horrible node for a horrible passive, which you're also forced to take if you consider taking Natural Harmony. Earthen Communion sounds good on paper, but still doesn't cover for Earthshield's terrible design issues, requiring you to keep it up on up to 2 targets. A maintenance defensive of this scale is just bad for the game, and bad for gameplay. It's literally just bad. At this point, please remove Earthshield charges, nerf it accordingly, and make it a passive heal increase for 2 targets. Please. In general though, Farseer brings a very neat idea to the table, but it's sadly poorly implemented, and straight up forces us into one element, being fire, once again. We pretty much have to pick Primordial Wave, which without its following nodes, Rolling Magma and either Primordial Surge or Splintered Elements, is fairly weak. and pushes us heavily into a spammy lava burst playstyle similar to Season 3 or Season 4 Dragonflight Elemental, which a lot of Alice really despise. So, also for instance, if the first tier of the War Within pushes us into a lightning direction, I doubt Farseer will ever see play for Elemental. This, however, is a general problem for Elemental, since outside factors can push you into one side of the tree due to its one-dimensional design, which I talked about in the last video, right? Now, though, we come to the banger, the Stormbringer tree. The Stormbringer tree has its problems, but it's way better than the Farseer tree, right? Stormbringer literally being an embodiment of lightning spells might sound fun, and it also kind of is to some, and I can expect it to be fun, but only exacerbate problems Elemental currently has, forcing us again into one spammy lightning playstyle with its counterpart, Farseer, with fire. First of all, Tempest. Tempest is a really cool idea. Being enabled by Maelstrom is also very nice. However, for Elemental, being tied to our Builder Lightning Bolt is not. There are scenarios in which you don't want to use Tempest and might hold it a couple of seconds. But, well, since it replaces your Builder and Filler spell, which is heavily empowered due to the tree and the build you're gonna take, there's nothing really to press. For Enhanced Brothers, it's tied to one of their spender abilities, so they can actively choose when to use it. Also missing are required interactions, with it not overloading Stormkeeper interactions and so on. But this can obviously change in between alpha and beta cycles, right? So we still have hope. In general, in the Stormbringer tree there are really good nodes, but also nodes which have some major flaws. Unlimited Power, for instance, is a really cool node, and in my opinion the by far best node in the tree. It's similar to Starlord from Balanced Root, which can be min-maxed by having a canceller or a macro to cancel the stacks right before you spend and stacks would run out. It's a powerful node which rewards keeping track of its uptime and stacks. Though I can understand some people dislike having to add a cancel or a macro into their rotation. Tempest and Voltaic Surge, where was it? This one. Are just generic nodes with some power attached to it, but there's nothing really wrong with that, right? Every tree has some generic power. Voltaic Surge, however, just increases AoE numbers, which is in pure single target a dead node, right? You're never gonna press Chain Lightning in single target, you're never gonna press Earthquake in single target, right? Stormswell, also okayish node, just pushes Maelstrom generation, which is also fine if our spenders deal damage in the War Within. But Arc Discharge, however, will definitely feel quite impactful and fun in AoE scenarios, and is generally a quite well thought through node. Even though the choice isn't really a choice, since one you pick for pure single target and the other for AoE, it's a really good choice node though. Really good node, Arc Discharge, banger node. Supercharge is also a promising node with good visuals and possible interactions with our capstone, which I will mention later. Or just, is this enhance? Ah, shit. Fuck. No. I suck. Anyway. We have two more banger nodes in the tree. Conductive Energy, which is not yet implemented, so it's hardly testable, promises to be a great node, depending heavily on how it will exactly work, since we don't know it yet. We don't know for sure if it's supposed to apply Lightning Rod on AoE, since Tempest is an AoE spell, or just for the target. And we also don't really know how much Tempest you're actually gonna cast. So how high is the uptime of this Lightning Rod? So will it force us into taking this Lightning Rod with our spenders, or will it be enough to just take conductive energy for 100% uptime? Just straight up alpha things, right? We cannot know. It's it's a really nice talent though, but I feel like the first part, Lightning Rod targets now also take 20% of the damage that Tempest deals, should be baseline since Tempest kind of replaces Lightning Bolt, and Lightning Rod also already functions with Lightning Bolt. I don't know, but I guess whatever. If it's good, it's good. If it's not, it is not. Awakening Storms is our capstone for Stormbringer, bringing us a unique interaction, giving us Tempest procs outside of having to actually spend, at this point, 400 Maelstrom, which is quite a lot actually, but manageable. Also seems it's intended to work with overloads from Lightning Bolt and Chain Lightning, so you can stack it multiple times per cast. So there is definitely an interaction between every talent guaranteeing us overloads, like Surge of Power, Power of the Maelstrom, etc. Now we go to the bad notes, man. These notes. Shocking Grasp is a hilariously bad filler node with like literally no power attached, which is fine. Every talent tree has a node without power, but this node, I'd rather take no node than Shocking Grasp. Shocking Grasp just has negatives attached to it. It just straight up nerfs us in some scenarios, like for instance Sanguine and a plus. And if you actually want to have a slow, you always have a totem, right? With the same amount of slow. So this node is just really bad. And I don't know what it does here. Rolling Thunder is the big love-hate relationship in the LA community. Since in general it's our very strong Season 2 set bonus, which is a very nice power-up, obviously, but it also comes with a bad side of literally having to have a weak aura to play it. And not even play it perfectly, but you have to have a timer if it's not in-game. And currently it isn't. I guess it won't be. You need a buff to keep track on, but you need a weak aura to keep a timer for it. It's really weird. I personally don't mind it so much since I use weak aura anyway, but I can understand some people being upset about actually having to have a weak aura to play the game. Then once again, the defensive notes. Nature's Protection and Surging Currents. Surging Currents giving us free healing surges, which are also instant cast, won't really help the spec to survive more than it does now. And it has some really heavy issues surviving some things. And a free healing surge every, let's say, 10 seconds won't do jack shit, to be honest. This is just a really bad note. Nature's Protection, however, is purely dependent on the uptime it has. We don't know if 400 Maelstrom spending stays. We don't know the proc rate of Awakening Storms, so don't really know how much uptime Nature's Protection is gonna have. We know on Alpha right now it's about 40 to 50%, or for Enhance. I don't really know for Ella. But anything below, let's say 70-ish% feels not really impactful at all. 10% is a minor damage reduction, and 10% with a little uptime is just less. Just doesn't feel very impactful at all. If there's any scenario in which Nature's Protection has a very high, near 100% uptime, this talent is actually a pretty good defensive node. But anything less than, like, let's stick with 70% is not gonna cut it, really. I mean, you take it because it's obviously better than Surging Currents. But yeah, there are better nodes for classes who are already tankier than we are. Which is, yeah, sad. But overall, Stormbringer is by far the best designed hero talent tree between between Farseer and Stormbringer. Excuse me. But still brings and exacerbates the issues of current Ela. I wish for Tempest to either replace Earthshock or Metal Blast, also costing Maelstrom and doing spender similar damage, or go complete lightning and replace lava burst with it instead. The gameplay of it replacing lightning burst, lightning bolt, I mean, feels really weird and just interruptive. It doesn't feel well. Also, if you're on it, please think of another node other than Shocking Grasp. It's a really bad node. It doesn't belong in the tree. Like I said, I'd really take no node in this. This is just doesn't have a place on this tree at all. Maybe Flash of Lightning, but that's also power, right? I don't know. There's just almost everything is better than Shocking Grasp. But overall, also similar to the Farseer tree, it forces us into one side of the tree in lightning heavily, which completely neglects the other side. You will not be pressing Lava Burst much. With current design, I doubt you'll ever play Lava Surge. I don't even know if keeping up Flame Shock would be a gain. Maybe you press Lava Burst for Power of the Maelstrom. I don't know if it's worth. Maybe, I guess. Like in Season 2. But, well, we have to wait number tuning and mechanical tuning in sense of what works with what. Stormbringer sounds like promising and a powerful hero talent tree, which a lot of people can have fun with. But some interactions are still unclear. There's just a 50-50 of some talents being absolute dog shit or the most insane bangers you've ever seen. Overall talents like Arc Discharge and Supercharge and Unlimited Power look really promising for Ella to be at least visually exciting. Gameplay-wise, gameplay loop-wise, I don't know. But it's less tied to Stormbringer than it's to its back tree, right? But that concludes it already. I think Stormbringer is a success overall. Farseer isn't really. That's about it. If you've got anything to say, like, use the comment section or don't. Like I said, I'm on the Discord so you can ask also. I don't know. I guess I'm just gonna piece it. Thank you guys for watching. Peace.